And hello everybody, welcome back to RFC News. I hope you're all well. Guys, we got not so much a rumour, but something has come up that is pretty exciting after a really doom and gloom season for Rangers. As you can read there in the title, the 49ers, or San Francisco 49ers franchise, is apparently close to taking over Glasgow Rangers. I mean, this would be really, really exciting news. We're going to go through with all of the information that we currently know at this moment in time. Of course, go through how likely this is to happen, discuss what it could mean for Rangers Football Club, and of course, take your guys' reaction in the live chat. So do get involved in the live chat. We're taking your reaction to this news, of course, in the... I'll bring your thoughts and comments up on the screen. But guys, let's get into it. It's fairly exciting, and there's not been that much exciting news in the Rangers space so far this season. So yeah, let's dive into what we currently know so far. So what's being reported is that Rangers are on the brink of a game-changing US-led takeover bid with the financial backing of the San Francisco 49ers. Now, lots of different media outlets have learned that high-level discussions regarding a multi-million-pound investment started before the year's turn and are now thought to be at the advanced stage. If an agreement is reached with Rangers, they could receive a significant cash injection, fueling a spending spree in the summer's transfer window. Sources from south of the border have confirmed that one of the key figures behind the proposal is Leeds United chairman Parag Maraf, who also heads the NFL Giants investment arms 49ers Enterprises. Maraf, also the executive vice president of the football operations in San Francisco, was the main architect behind a takeover of Ellen Road, which is of course Leeds United, and of course they're stating that this consortium is including at least one other wealthy American business tycoon aiming to restore Rangers to the pinnacle of Scottish football. The American consortium is planning to acquire enough shares to become the largest single shareholder in the club, likely leading to demands for seats in a revamped boardroom. The specifics of the move are still under wraps, but the current major shareholders configuration suggests any deal will be complex. This is interesting, very, very interesting. And as a Rangers fan myself, of course, it's got me excited. I mean, again, we're still waiting for more, not necessarily reputable sources. Of course, it's coming from the sort of, it started with the Daily Record, now it's coming from different sources down south, close to Leeds United, some American sources all bringing it. Until we kind of get that feeling from the sort of really reputable sources, then I'm going to contain my excitement a little bit. But it's certainly enough to get a bit excited about, because Rangers do need a takeover. We need to go in a different direction. And having a franchise like the San Francisco 49ers, wealthy backing, and of course the way that they operate as a franchise, I think would be game-changing for a club like ours. I think it would be game-changing because it doesn't really cost that much to be the best in Scottish football. It's not that much investment required. You know, we've always been behind Celtic financially, especially over the last sort of 10, 15 years. And we've still won a league title. We've come very, very close. So I don't think that we need that much investment necessarily to be at the top of Scottish football. We've also done stuff in the Europa League. So any significant investment, in my personal opinion, I do believe would be game-changing for us. And more to the fact is that we're also seeing here within the reports as well, is that Rangers would not only receive a substantial injection of transfer cash, but the club would also gain access to the 49ers' cutting-edge, data-driven technology for player recruitment, opening the doors to numerous lucrative sponsorships and new commercial partnerships. That's massive. That is absolutely huge. We can have sports people running the football club, which is huge in itself. Now, you could look at Leeds at this moment in time, of course, been taken over by the 49ers, I think 2 years ago, and that led to sort of relegation. But Leeds were in a bit of a shit state beforehand, let's be perfectly honest. However, they got close to getting back to the Premier League last season. Narrowly missing out in the playoffs, and of course doing really, really well within the championship this year. So you wouldn't really be able to judge the San Francisco 49ers approach until they're in the Premier League and seeing where they're going to be in the division. It's too early to see what their impact with Leeds. But certainly from a Rangers perspective, if we got a huge backer like the San Francisco 49ers, then it certainly would be game-changing. I hate to admit it, but we're in a two-team league. Europe, we're fine. We're absolutely fine. And what we would need is just that significant cash boost to just get them transfers in the door, have people operating that know the game at the top level, and get these guys that are just jobs for the boys. You know, some of them are just being fans, and some of them have done good work for Rangers, but certainly not in the right position to take us to the next level and where we want to be as a football club. So I would be absolutely welcome to this, and this news has brought a smile to my face. So I'm hoping, of course, that it doesn't get rubbished. And the fact that I'm making a live stream suggests that there is a bit in this information that, of course, there is enough to that there is obviously talks ongoing at this moment in time. So it does look exciting, but what I would say for those of you just tuning in, we still probably need to wait for more of the reputable sources, should I say. We're closer to the football club to really give us the heads up with regard to this and give the confirmation to this. But Barry Ferguson has given his response on this as well. I'm going to go through Barry Ferguson's response, then I'm going to get your guys' reaction from the live chat. So do let me know what you think with regard to this down there in the chat, and we'll bring your comments up a little bit later on. But Barry Ferguson has stated, when he was live on air on Go Radio, he says, "It'll be interesting to see if anything comes from it. That is one thing about the new chairman and chief executive. They have to bring external investment into the club. It has been clear that has been needed. Over the coming months, hopefully that is the case." He also expanded his thoughts when asked about the existing shareholders would be inclined to sell. He said, "Well, you want what is best for the club. And if somebody is coming in and willing to pay and what the shares are valued at, or they are worth then I would imagine the shareholders would do a deal. It's not just a case of coming in and buying the shares. There's new shareholders. If that is going to be what is happening, are going to invest more money into the club, that is certainly what is needed. Look, I wouldn't get too excited about it just now, but it's good to see that things are happening in the background. It's clear as day that there is to be fresh investment coming in. I think that is one of the biggest jobs of the new chairman and the chief executive, to make sure that this is the case going forward." So that's what Barry said. And again, I'm just holding my reservations, my celebration, my exciting back a little bit, just because we don't really have the confirmation. I mean, I've been doing this for a good few years now, and the sources that are reporting it are probably middle of the road, maybe upper echelon. It's coming from more of the mainstream media rather than the sort of sources close to the football club at this moment in time. But we're just going to have to wait for further developments on it. But certainly something to get a little bit excited about, and certainly something to have a conversation about. Now, looking at what's being said here as well, it certainly seems as though that they would be coming in for the majority of the shares, which is something even more exciting. I wouldn't want them just to have a 10% sharehold into the football club and just kind of sit at the rear and just put some cash. If they're having majority of control, I think that's absolutely beautiful, and that's something that Rangers certainly need going forward. But certainly exciting, but let's see what emerges over the next couple of days. The report's obviously stating that these talks have been going on for several months, and even the main sources are saying that it's an imminent takeover. It's going to happen. It's very, very close to completion. So we'll see what comes of it. Let's see what comes of it as the time goes on. But let's take some reaction from you guys from the live chat. Footy Edits says, "It would be amazing if we were able to make this happen, but I don't think it will happen." Again, containing his excitement. I'm exactly the same. It's something that really struck my eye, seeing that franchise from 49ers, all of these kind of things, wealthy backers. Something to get excited about. It's something to really get excited about. But again, I don't want to be brought back down to earth and someone say, "Oh, it's a bogus claim." So we'll just hold off a little bit, but certainly something to talk about. Miles McDonald says, and the club is releasing more shares. Yeah, I did see that as well. I did see reports about Rangers releasing more shares. Let me just get the report up on that bit a second. It came out earlier on, I believe, but it said, what was said? Yeah, shit, I can't find it. I had it a minute ago. I did see it somewhere. But yeah, I mean, it was something about Rangers issuing more shares. I did see that report as well, to be fair, James Reed. Oh, there we go. Derek Muir says, we did just release 18 million shares. That is roughly £3.6 million, which possibly makes them the majority shareholder. Yeah, exactly. I think that definitely could be the case. I've seen those reports going about, or that confirmation made that Rangers have released 18 million shares. So it definitely coincides with a potential takeover. So let's see what happens. But certainly, if you look at the San Francisco 49ers as a franchise, they're ambitious. Now, would this necessarily mean that we're like a feeder club to Leeds as such? Or is it a separate project? We're starting to see a lot of Premier League clubs, a lot of these franchises take over a Premier League club, and then you start to see the Premier League club take over another club in a sort of lesser league, and then trying to build that sort of multi-club model. We've seen Manchester City do it very well successfully. Of course, they've got Girona, they've got Girona, out in La Liga. They've got loads. They've got teams in Australia, teams in India, teams all over the shop. But Chelsea have just recently acquired Strasbourg out in France. We've heard about the Brighton owner. He's got Union Saint-Gilloise. Their Liverpool FSG are looking to try and build another club as well. So is this a case of Leeds are their sort of pinnacle club that they're playing around with, and we're like the second club? Financially, that would probably make more sense to, of course, the 49ers from a business perspective, because the Premier League's where the money's at. But certainly something to look at. You see how well Union Saint-Gilloise are doing when they had that sort of financial takeover from the Brighton owner. They're doing really well in their league and been very, very close to actually, well, their league's really, really weird, but they've been very, very close from going down from the bottom, the second tier. They're at the top of the table, but they don't win the league in Belgium because something weird goes on in the final 5 games, that their points split, whatever. Regardless, but they've certainly seen benefits, of course, of having wealthier owners. So let's see if anything comes of it. I'm certainly happy. If we're getting any investment whatsoever, but certainly from the 49ers and the way that the talk about using their new technology to identify players, that'd be absolutely amazing. But also having football people knowing what they know, and the people knowing what they're doing, operating the football club from the top, which would be absolutely amazing to see. Alan says, if it's true, and I hope it really is, there's no way we can trust Clermont with the new funds. First thing they need to do is get rid of the manager and get a new man in. Well, that's something they'll probably identify. Again, it's probably too premature to talk about managers at this moment in time. But of course, if you're looking at the situation where, well, if they do take over and they are the majority shareholders, then surely they would have the final say. And if they want a new man, they would have to go with a new man. I'm trying to think what they did with Leeds. I'm sure Jesse Marsh was already in charge of the club in terms of Leeds. They got rid of Bielsa. Jesse Marsh came in. And then Jesse Marsh, of course, got them relegated. So they did make a sacking pretty quickly. And then, of course, have got their man, it was Daniel Falca or whatever. So they did make a decision on a manager very, very quickly when he was failing in his position. So maybe that would be the case with Rangers. But again, I think it's too premature to say and think about that just now. Gunnar says Leeds would be our feeder club. Yeah, well, certainly in terms of the size of the clubs, there's no comparison. But the Premier League, you're looking from a business perspective, your return of an investment, you're going to get a lot more in the Premier League, of course. That's just how the way they would look at it. In the Scottish Premiership, we don't really get much. So their return of investment might be, if we get into the Champions League, we need to get into the Champions League every single year, is where they start to see their returns of their investment coming through. Because, buying a club for what's being reported, £3 million, I don't know how much Rangers are actually worth. But again, with that Champions League money, then of course over a 10-year period, they would make a hefty return if they were going to be making money back on their investment. But first and foremost, of course, it's just about getting the deal done and then seeing where we end up a little bit later on down the line. But again, still early days, but I just thought I'd bring the news to you. Leeds would M. Gunner says, not many clubs in the Premier League make money. Most are losing money. Well, with the new sort of FFP situation that they've currently got, it's not FFP, it's rules on sustainability and all of that. It's very complicated within the Premier League at this moment in time. So I don't think they can make £150 million losses over 3 years. So I think a lot of clubs do make losses, as you're absolutely correct. And we technically I think we're breaking even, or we're just making minute losses at this moment in time. But getting into the Champions League and having a really healthy or really good trading model will certainly offload those losses and see us do that. But again, let's see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. But again, I don't want to be brought down to earth tomorrow morning. David says, I said this would happen before Christmas last year when everyone was talking about getting rid of Clement after a defeat. I also said that they would keep Clement. Well, in terms of the investment, let's see. It's still very, very early. But guys, I've been rambling on long enough, and I feel like I'm repeating myself tons. But do let me know your thoughts on this one down there in the comment section below with regard to the 49ers potentially taking over Rangers. Do you see it happening? And would it take us back to the pinnacle of Scottish football? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments. I've been Dan. This has been RFC News, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.